Hello, I heard that we're going to be about 30 today, so I'm going to wait a little bit because I want to make sure that everyone is able to get on, and I'm going to be recording the session as well. So I think I have this set up as you're all muted when you enter, which is fine. I'm going to take questions and answers at the end of the session, so feel free to, yep, I made it that you're allowed to unmute yourselves. So at any time during the presentation, I'm happy that you unmute yourselves and ask questions, no worries. I just have it set up so that it's mute upon entry, so. Good. All right, I'm seeing more people come in. Hello, hello. Maybe just a show of hands, is this everyone's first time you hear me speak about efficient school operations, or are you hearing it for a second time?
Second time for me.
Okay, great. Yes, Denise, I remember. Great.
Second time for me.
Okay, great. I'm glad. We'll go over some more questions if you have. It's the same presentation. I didn't change it, but on Thursday, tomorrow, actually, I have the other one with the school finances. So hopefully, you know, if you want to hear anything specific, let me know. I'm still preparing the presentation, so hopefully I'll have a lot of info tomorrow for you. Hello, hello. Okay, 15. And I'm a very punctual lady, so I'm going to pretty much start on time in the interest of making sure everyone has a restful evening later on. So let me get my presentation up. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. So you should be seeing a slide. It says April 20, I should update that, April 2020, efficient school operations. So now I can't see anyone because you're all up top now with this funny Zoom. Let me just make sure I get organized my screen. I don't need that. And I need that. Okay. I will minimize that. Okay. All right, so, oh, I need the chat as well. Where's the chat? Just in case. Yes. For the PowerPoint slides, I'm happy to, I just need to find a way to do it because I don't have the list of emails of people. So if you take my email down at the end of the presentation, then you can email me and I'm happy to pass on those slides. All right, so let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're going to talk about efficient school operations. So in the interest of how to run your school in an efficient manner, and of digitizing as well your school's administration, because it can really be a tedious task to keep up with everything, all the details. So I've built a system that, you know, it works for us, it works for our school. It's been 3 years that we've been, you know, just improving on each little system. So I call it like a systematize and scale kind of thing. So every time I implement something, I see if I could improve it, and then I see if it's scalable. Can it be done if the school grows? And that's the whole goal in mind, really, is to, if you put these little things in place, then you'll have more capacity to take on probably more people, more students and all that. So today's presentation is, those are the main big lines, the big headlines. I should also get, one second, I'm just gonna get one more thing. I need one more window, which is my participants. Okay, there, 524, perfect. All right, so so today's presentation will be just a little bit about me, and then I'll go through the main lines here, which is about, in general, school management, your brand identity, managing your staff, classroom management, communications management. I'm not going to touch up on finance because that's tomorrow's PD, but I'll briefly show that slide, and resources management, and then, whoops, I can't see the slide. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, events management, and then community and community engagement. So those are the big main headlines. So just a little bit about me. I'm the secretary / business manager of Arabic Culture School. We've been around, I'll tell you a little bit about the school later, but my background is basically, I'm a business coach and a consultant. I've helped over 1,000 entrepreneurs to launch and scale their businesses online. So I know a little thing or two about making sure your systems are in place and marketing yourself and all that. So that's a little bit about me. And I wanted to just turn over the leaf about what's going on in the world right now. Like right now, we have, the world is really turning digital. We have teams that are collaborating across the globe, and making decisions based on data, which are about to improve or not improve the lives of a lot of people. And, like, we're in really, really interesting times, I call them. I don't call them, they are challenging. I don't want to belittle that or downplay that. They are challenging, but I think in a way they're a blessing in disguise, because we're able to start to really think in a big picture way and start to think about what's to improve, what's working, what's not, kind of letting go of the things that aren't working, and just making sure we're in that circle, that like getting out of any vicious cycle that we've been in and just moving forward. So doing more every day and learning and all that. So my idea is that to become a really good community language school, it's of course it's about the learning and the tradition and the teaching, but it's more about how you can quickly adapt to the changes and making sure your community stays connected in this world that's constantly changing. So how you're supporting your teachers and how you're supporting your staff, and how are you developing their skills that are going to make things move forward. So, sometimes it's kind of like easy to just get stuck in doing the same thing over and over again. But if it's not working, then we need to reconsider those things and talk about them. So what I want to do today is really just give you like a handbook or like a plant the seed of maybe you're already doing that, but maybe starting to plan and improve certain processes, and to instill that better communication as we move into what I call a digital future. Oops. So let's move on. Let me just move forward. So I was wondering, have you ever thought about, is there a better way to handle all the administrative tasks that come related to running a school? Like if you think about it, I don't know if you're running the school or you're a teacher or you just want to learn about this, but if you're running the school, there's a billion of tasks that need to be done. Even though we're a community language school, we're not even, well, in our case, actually, we're just a Sunday school and we run from 9 to 1. But I feel sometimes that the tasks are like as if I'm running a mainstream school. So I don't know if any of you feel like that, but it's very interesting. So our school, Arabic Culture School, we've been 28 years of operation in the East Doncaster region. And we really started from the grassroots level, you know, maybe 2 or 3 kids in the classroom. I wasn't there those days, but, you know, now to a fully, you know, running school of about 240, although our numbers are quite different right now because of what's going on with the remote learning. But when we're running face-to-face, it's at least a 200 and above body students. And we didn't think that we would get to that number, but I know there's a lot of schools that are operating at higher numbers as well, and it's really good. It's really a great initiative. So for the first part of the presentation, the school management part, so what I wanted to share is that you don't have to do everything right away, okay? So we didn't start by having everything all set up and running, and we went through a lot. So it's been 3 years in the make, and so we started somewhere. So what I like to call it, and I'll show it at the very end, is a start, scale, and leverage kind of movement that happens. So you start somewhere, you have certain tools that you're going to use, and then you say, well, is that still working for us? If not, you say, nope, that's not working. So you scratch it and you build something else. And it's okay to completely, you know, when you build a Lego set and you want, you know, it's just not working anymore, you want to build something better, well, you have to undo that whole beautiful big Lego castle so that you can build another thing. Okay, so I call it, you know, you just have to break it down to start building anew. So we've done that. We looked at all the little pieces that weren't working, and we've had to bring things down so that we can build things back up. So for instance, I'm going to talk about the online forms that we do for enrollments and how we do invoice processing. I know many of you are familiar with something like Class Dojo. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then now we're at the stage where we're kind of leveraging, basically leveraging our numbers, leveraging our skills, leveraging our staff members. So we need a lot more robust tools, and that start, scale, leverage thing, it takes time to get there. And it doesn't mean you have to be right away at leverage, or if you're at scale that you're not doing, or at start you're not doing well. Everyone has to start at some place, and you determine where to start. So just to give you an idea of how we moved forward with enrollment. So when I came on board in 2016, it was a paper enrollment form. So maybe a show of hands, how many of you are still, I'm not saying still, I mean are running enrollments through paper-based form, and then just processing all that paperwork. So there's an easy way, and I think for any school that, you know, even runs like 10 students, this should be made online, because you have, it's easy to lose information if they're on paper, and but when it's on your computer or in a safe place, safe data, then you have access to it right away. I like to say that I run the school through my phone practically, which is a funny thing, but that is actually how I do it. So yeah, so in 2016, when I first came on board, we were still doing paper enrollment. So I was taking down, parents would come in, I would give them a paper enrollment, and then I'd have to transfer all that information onto a spreadsheet, and it was quite time consuming. So I said, let me just figure something out. And we built a Google form sheet that has all the requirements by the CLV, like all the important questions, everything that you have to ask, all the little nitty-gritty details. And that form, that Google form, directly translates into a Google Sheet for me. So it already transposes it straight into a Google Sheet, so I don't need to do any of that manual data entry, except maybe like formatting some columns and things like that. So right away there, you have built some, if you do that, you've built yourself a system that gives you your register straight away in a more efficient way, much more quicker. So I can be, you know, at school, and greet a new family. So sometimes new families would be coming on the same day and they want to start on the same day. And I say, well, you need to enroll, and we have an online enrollment form. You can sit here for 15 minutes while we do assembly and just fill in all of your child's details. And then I'll be able to, once that comes into my email, all your details are coming into my inbox as a submitted form, then your child can actually attend class today. So they don't have to wait. They can just literally come in. They wonder about the school. They want to start right away. I don't have to send them away and say, well, here's the application, come back to me, and all of that. So, and I know that they can do it right there and then with the paper, but it's just the question of like getting it all into your data straight away, into your system straight away is the main thing here. So just to show you an example of how that, and I'm not quite sure if it's the enrollments, that it's not just the enrollments that have done that, but just you can see the growth of the school has grown from 2016 to is that 2019? Yeah, 2019. And I would say in 2020 we're just a little under 250. So it did increase again. So just by having that enrollment form on your website, the different forms that you would need if you have adult classes, if you have BCE, if you have foundation to year 10, just having those as links on your website can significantly increase, because I could be like, sitting down on Saturday afternoon and all of a sudden I see a few enrollments come in. So I know that the following day on Sunday, I'm going to be greeting 3 new families, and I'm going to have to show them around the school, and I'm going to have to show the kids where their classrooms are, because I'm getting those enrollments coming in while I'm sitting at home having dinner with my family. So that's just an example. And then the next thing I wanted to like switch gears a little is another thing that you can think of doing for your school is to really have this exercise of doing a brand identity, building a brand around your school. So I look at the school as, because I'm a business coach, so I kind of look at it as my little client, even though, a little business, even though we're not for-profit organization, but we really can run it like a business, or client, or it's my client. And I take care of my clients, so I take care of it. So we have to think about the whole identity of the school, what we want to portray as a school, and that will significantly increase the visibility of the school as well to the community. So just here, what I'm showing here is how we've evolved from a website that was a little bit gruggy and not very attractive. And that was how I picked it up in 2016. And then we kind of did another iteration with bigger images and just more clear messaging on the website. And then we actually went through a whole brand analysis exercise with the leadership team and all that. So we had to sit down and think about, what's our purpose as a school? What are the words that define us? What do we need if we want to create a new brand? Do we need a new logo? Do we need new colors? Do we need new images? And we went through that exercise together, and we came up with these concepts here that, we want to build a strong, more confident and proud children that are proud of their community, that love and appreciate their heritage and their identity, and we thought of some words that define us as well. And then we were given 3 concepts. We gave that to a designer, and then we were given back 3 concepts that we chose from. So, and that's what we ended up with. So our Arabic Culture School looks like this now with those colors, and we rebuilt the website to have that look and feel. So now everything just has a uniform look and feel, which is kind of like the geometrical image of that shape that just represents, the Middle Eastern culture and all that. And yeah, so all of that, all of a sudden someone will search for something on Google, and then will hit on your website, and they're going to look and see something that's really appealing. So they'll inquire, they'll send an email, they'll call you. So it really makes a difference. So the before and after. now let's move on to just how do we communicate with our staff members, and how do we go from, you know, talking to, you know, 3 people in the staff members to now talking to 34 people, including teachers and volunteer teachers and support teachers and lead teachers and culture teachers and language teachers. So we have, you know, a big group now, and we have to kind of manage different people. And so at first it was a WhatsApp communication. So the leadership team, we had like our like, if you see there on the right on that slide, you see like teachers social, well, it used to be teachers channel. Then we have leadership, and we have curriculum and content. So I created all these channels in WhatsApp, and that was how we would communicate. However, for the purposes of really just giving information to the teachers and making sure, you know, things that you need to get done or things that you need to make sure that they're aware of, the WhatsApp channel became a little, to be honest, I couldn't really handle it. I could handle it for our little team of leadership and smaller groups, but for a team of like 35 or more, it's not very easy with all the communications flowing. So what I went and did is I created a Facebook group. So earlier this year, just before we went on this COVID-19 situation, I decided that I want all of the communications to happen inside of Facebook, and that's a private group. So there's no issues with privacy. It's a completely closed group. I invited the teachers that I wanted and the staff members, and now we have like a full-blown community, and I'm able to put into that group the things I want them to see. I can poll them. I can make sure I'm alerting them to important information. I can go on video to them inside of the group and give them special announcements. So it's a very, very good medium right now to manage a group of people that you want to ensure that they pay attention to the things that you need to be happening at your school. And then what we did with the with the WhatsApp after we converted to Facebook is I just turned that channel into a social chat. So I know sometimes the teachers just want to talk to each other and say what, you know, like share a few things with each other and well wishes and things like that. So I didn't turn it down. I didn't shut it down. All I just did was turn it into a social chat. So we still look into that from time to time, especially during the remote learning when they're all running their Zoom sessions on Sunday. The WhatsApp channel becomes the place to talk quickly, like, hey, how many kids did attend for you today? Or please remember to take your attendance in your Zoom session today. So those quick messages are very efficient in WhatsApp. As you know, you probably have something set up like that. But the Facebook group is where you can build content for your teachers. So if you want to give them a tutorial, or if you want to give them resources, or if you have, like, I'm going to show you around the community later. Maybe I'll give you like a live demo of what mine looks like, and that could be something we can do. So let me continue. And I'm seeing the chats about the slides. Do not worry. What I would recommend you do, because I won't be able to send you out unless you reply to send me. So just make sure you take my email down and at the end of the presentation, and then and you can email me, and then I'm happy to share the slides. So I just wanted to say that. All right, so let's move on to classroom management. So classroom management is probably something you're more familiar with in terms of, you know, what are you using to manage your classrooms? You might be using something like Class Dojo. That's what we've used for 2 years, I believe, before we switched to Compass. And the only reason we switched to Compass is because we were getting to that leverage stage where I needed to make sure that I had a robust tool to manage that that huge, that student body that, you know, like 200 and less than 240 or so, I needed to have a more robust tool. But for 2 good years, we spent it all using ClassDojo, and it was very, very fun and efficient. So what do those things help you do? What do those kinds of tools help you do? Well, they help you, for example, track attendance, which is quite important to know during a term, what your class attendance rate is, and maybe you have reporting to do at the end of the year. So we used to do manual attendance, and I think we did that for a year before I said we cannot do manual, it's a bit too hard. So I needed the teachers to have an easy system in their hand where they just tick off the names of the people that are present, of the students that are present or not present. So while we did 1 year of manual attendance with the paper form, but then sometimes those paper would get lost or those papers wouldn't be returned. So for me, it wasn't efficient, and I never had a solid track record of our attendance. So online is the way to go. So I made sure on ClassDojo that they were tracking their attendance each time, and then we definitely have that with Compass as well. Definitely one of the features of Compass. The other thing that ClassDojo helps you do is, you know, behavior management in your classroom. So positive reinforcements and those rewards. So the students love the points-based system, like the little monster where you can give them a point. And then what that allowed us to do is also have the teachers talk to each other about I think I'm going to talk about that in the next slide, but the teachers agree together what they would be giving points on and what are they going to be rewarding. So it gave this sense of let's as a school talk about this, and what are we rewarding, what are we not, and all that. Obviously, with a school directory, you have that as part of ClassDojo. You have every class set up, and then you invite the students, and then you invite the students' parents. So you essentially have the whole school directory inside of this classroom management tool, like a ClassDojo. So it allows you to, you know, approve and decline requests to join certain classes, and putting students from one session to another, classroom to another, graduate certain students and all that. And then the other really great benefit about ClassDojo is it gave the school a life, you know, a life after Sunday. So it wasn't just on Sunday that we would get all the news about the school, but throughout the week, some teachers would post what they did on Sunday, and they would post it as class free. Or on Sunday, after we come back home, we would see what the students did during that day. So it gave a little story to the school after the classroom. So it's kind of like a Facebook for the class. So it's very highly recommended to use such tools. And I think we have Majida, she gives a really good presentation about all the apps that you can use as a teacher to run your school or to run your classroom. So I think that's definitely, if ever that PD happens, you should definitely be on it. So that's what ClassDojo would do, is it was mainly to connect the teachers with the parents. And that is why we have Compass today, is because I need a parent portal to be able to communicate to the parents. And more so ever is it important today, as we are in this remote learning environment where we have to be that communicative inside of to the parents, because how are we doing the communications now if we don't have a tool? So if you already have a ClassDojo set up, or if you have some sort of Google Classroom, I heard is a good thing. So all of that is part of that classroom management. And there's a lot of different ways to learn about the different ones, but the main ones I know are ClassDojo, Compass, Google Classroom, and there might be some others, but those are the ones I know of right now that I'm seeing are being used quite often. So what we used to get with ClassDojo are these really nice emails on the side here. It's like every week I would get an email saying, you know, 8 messages were sent home, or 23 stories were shared, or 101 skills were celebrated with rewards. So it was really good to see that activity inside of the tool, and it helped me know that, you know, teachers are using this, parents are using this, and students are using this. So when you introduce a new tool in your school, the important is that you use it. So you can start using a tool, but then you might not use it as much, or you might find it too laborious, and then you just fall back to the regular ways of doing things. So the important thing is to make sure you use it and you train your people to use it as well. So you make it a habit. So at the beginning with the Facebook group, my teachers weren't very keen, and they were like, why do I need to go on Facebook? I said, this is the place now to get information from me. So if you're not there, you're not going to get information. So I educate them about that, and I train them that this is the new way of doing things. And with time, people are definitely going to be okay. So what we saw with Class Dojo and things like that is improved communication. So as you can see, teachers were communicating to their parents more. They were writing notes more. They were rewarding their students more. And then improved consistency as well, is that teachers were tracking their attendance. They were agreeing on which skills they're going to reward, and what are the best ways to communicate with the parents. So I think that's like a very important system to have. And I would love to know who has such a system already implemented at their school, because it's very common now to have this sort of thing. So just a show of hands, I'm gonna go quickly down. Okay. Just to take a little breath as well. Okay, so let's move on. So school management. So as I've said, right now we actually moved to a tool called Compass, and maybe a lot of you have heard it. There's a lot of mainstream schools that are using it, and so what I call Compass is like a one-stop shop for everything that I need to do. So all those things that I established throughout the year, so invoicing, classroom management, attendance, enrollments and things like that, all of those little pieces that I created online, well, Compass kind of brings it all together into one place. So I do everything from one place. So from, you know, calendar to students to tracking attendance to record keeping to payments to event management, all of it gets into, and newsletters even, all of it gets into this one place. And I'm not saying that you need to do that right away or now, or, you know, it's not something that, you know, you have to actually see if it's an investment you want to make, but it is a consideration and something that can be looked at a time that's convenient for your school. And for us at Arabic Culture School, it was convenient from the end of last year, we made that decision. So, and we're still kind of learning our way through. So what do we do to communicate to parents other than the Class Dojo or Compass or whatever? How do you email the parents? So what I like to use is because we have a G Suite account. So a G Suite is basically a Google account, but for business. So creating that is easy because then you can create, like your school will not be at Gmail anymore. It'll be at arabiccultureschool.org.au. So I'm able to have an info@arabiccultureschool.org.au kind of email. But it just looks more professional than an example. And then what I was able to add onto my Gmail, is a type of newsletter tool that allows me to send newsletters out to a list. Okay, so first of all, this isn't me taking a bunch of emails, putting them all in the BCC or CC, and then sending it out from my Gmail, because many times that will not work. If you're sending emails that way, you need an email service provider. So what I used is this tool called Flash Issue, and it's used with your email. It's completely integratable. And what I'm able to do with it is I'm able to do newsletters. I'm able to create mailing lists. So all I do is I just put in my design here, I just design the newsletter, and then I select which list I want to send it to. So I make sure any new parents come in are added to that list, and then it sends it off as it's kind of like a marketing email. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to track who's opened it, who's not, who's clicked the links, what was the open rate of that email? So I know that my communications are being reached, read, or not. And then I can just change my messaging. If a message is not really being read, then maybe I need to say it a different way and all that. So all of those are just tools to help you reach your parents better. Okay, and so that's at the level of the parents, and I still use, and Class Dojo is also a good way because you can communicate directly to the parents, but this tool here is to send mass emails out. Okay, so it's kind of like your newsletter portal, or how to do your newsletters every week, for example. So now this is the topic that I'm going to talk about next week, tomorrow actually. So these are just quick best tips and practices about your finances. I might go over it a little bit because I see that I have time. So, but I'm going to actually do a full PD session on this tomorrow. So I don't take care of all of the finances in our school, but I deal with it enough that I know that there's a few best practices that help when it comes to making a good plan, a good budget for your school. So the first thing you need to make sure of is making sure your budget works for your school improvement plan. So always making sure that, you know, you're thinking forward about how to improve the school, and that a certain budget goes towards that level of improvement. And then understanding as well the different funding streams that are coming in. So making sure that you have a bucket for the funds that we get, the tuition fees, and anything else that comes through. So having those buckets really separate and clear. And then of course, accountability is crucial in budgeting. You have to be able to show that the funds have helped with student improvement and school improvement. And then also creating maybe a budgeting calendar that, you know, plans ahead for scenarios. Like for example, what we're in right now, and I know we have like the CLV helping and all that with the funding, but just what to use the funds for, really, like something like ICT tools or more learning resources and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move over that because I want to get to the meatier topic. So in terms of actually dealing with the school finances, the part that I took care of was the part that took care of the tuition fees. So I also digitized that. So I used an app called Square. Now at the very beginning, I was handling cash. And at the first year, I remember, like, I would sit there in the staff room and people would come and give me their cash as tuition payments, and I was handling all this cash, and it was quite nerve-wracking for me because I didn't want to be handling cash. I didn't want to be touching or dealing with cash or having to go and deposit it and things like that. So I made sure that all of that got wiped out, and we dealt with online processing of tuition fees. And the first way was, the first tool I used was Square. And Square is a really great tool. You can do it all online. You can set up all of your payment items online. And but it also is a little device as well that you can affix to your phone, and then you can actually swipe the card through it. However, I actually abolished that even because I didn't want to also having to carry this every week with me at school and making, like, I might forget it or something. And then so what I made sure to organize is just to have it all pay by a button, pay online. So I send out the invoices and people can just click through the button on their email and then pay online, just like you can pay any invoice online these days. And that allowed me for quick processing and quick balancing of understanding, like, what's outstanding and what's not yet paid. And it just gave me a quick way to process all that and to give a quick report to whoever needs to know, well, okay, how many families have, you know, paid so far and all that. And that can be a very tedious project. So you can actually delegate that to someone who's good with numbers. So anyone who's really good with numbers, you can just delegate that task. If you trust, you make sure that there's a trust going on, and you just delegate that. So that part is the app square is definitely one to check out. So there you go. Oh, the other thing is the school resources. So how do you keep all your files, and where do you keep them? So we started off with, just keeping them on a, where's my little USB key here? So I had a little USB key that I would carry around, and that's where all of my files are. But then I said, well, what if I lose this? Or what if my computer breaks? I need to be able to find a way to have all of these accessible at all times, at any time, and not that I have to be in copy and copy. Well, basically Google Drive is a really efficient way to store all of your important files for the school. So it allows you to keep all your files in one place. It sits on the cloud, so you can access them at any time, and it's very cost efficient. So I pay maybe $2, $3 a month just to have my 100 gigs of 100 gigabytes, I think, and that's more than enough for the school. So look into something like that, especially if you have a G Suite account, a Google Suite account. So that could come with a good price as well. That's where we kept all the lesson plans and all the teachers' resources, and then it just becomes a question of who gets access to what. So if you want a teacher to have access to certain files, you just open up the link and you share it to her, and you make sure she has viewing or editing rights, and all is good as great. Now, the other really important tool that I started to use as well is Evernote and Scannable. And that one I used to keep all of my working with children cards in place. And that is a very efficient tool. I should have put the logo up, but I'll show you what it looks like. Maybe you'll see it on the screen. So it looks like, I'm gonna try to show. So you see this little butterfly logo there? So that butterfly logo is called Scannable, and what that does is it scans images of, you can scan images of working with children check cards, you can scan images of invoices, and right away upload that into Evernote. So I have a list in my Evernote of all of the working with children check cards that I need to make sure that I have access to at all times, and I make sure that teachers have it on their person as well when they come to school. So not only can I just give Neda or Fari, if they ask me, the numbers and expiry dates of all of the working with children, anytime someone comes to the school and requires a working with children, I make sure I scan their card, save it as their name inside of my Evernote, and I'm done. I have all of that information stored with me at all times. And also invoices. So if you go and you pay for something for the school, you need to make sure that that invoice is captured, or else you might crumple it up and throw it. So I just quickly scan it, Evernote it, and I send it over to the finance department for processing if they need to pay it for me or something. So that's two of the most important ones that are at top. A little bit more advanced ones are Asana and Canva. Now, Asana is something called, it's what I call a task manager. So if you have so many tasks going on and you need to put that all into one place, you can use a fancy tool like Asana, but you can also just open up a document and make a list of all the tasks. But what Asana does is it allows you to put due dates and then assign certain people to it. So and share tasks between team members and major projects and team deliverables and things like that. Now, Canva is our graphics place. So what I used Canva to create this presentation, for example. So you can get Canva for free, and you can create beautiful presentations. You can create branded graphics and images. So I use that a lot for my Facebook community when I need to send them a quick graphic of something like, no school today, and I'll just create a beautiful graphic on it, and I'll make it nice and pretty, and so that it creates this alert in the Facebook group. So anything to do with presentation, creation, graphics, images, anything to do with that would be in Canva. So I know I'm throwing a lot at you. We're almost done. So, and then the last thing, I just want to see if there's, yeah, that's the last thing actually. So the last piece that is quite big actually is the events. So we're a very events focused school. We run a lot of events. It's the way we keep our community enjoying the school as well with the learning. And we run a lot of events. So sometimes we go for, maybe we'll do like a barbecue, or there was one time where we took them to a museum. There was another time where we had a whole cinema reserved for us after a celebration event. So how do we manage these events and ensuring even the ticketing and things like that, and who's going to come and who's not coming? So I use a thing called, a tool called Try Booking, and you might be all familiar with it. It's something like Eventbrite, but it allows you to ticket. So if you have, you know, certain tickets that you need to release, and then every time someone gets a ticket, it reduces the amount, so people will see that, you know, the tickets are going, or it creates free events for you as well. So a really good tool to start to put your events online as well is to make sure that you have a system that manages those events for you. And then anything to do with like volunteering and rostering, and you know, if we have like a big event where we're asking people to bring food, to share a plate to share, we ask them maybe like put your name under this, what type of dish are you going to bring? So then the parents will go and put their names in and decide. So we create really fun events because they're well organized in the back end. We didn't get there overnight. There were days where our events are really disorganized and they weren't that successful, but there's some other ones that were very successful because we had all of these systems in place. So just things to help you along. So there you go. So that's all of the approach that we took. And as you've seen, it's a multi-platform approach. So the whole goal of this, of creating these different solutions for different parts of your school, is to, number one, make sure that your school community is engaged all the time. Like we have, like making sure that the school community is engaged, and then making sure that you can run your school on a mobile. Like I literally run the school on my mobile. I'm always carrying this thing on Sunday. Obviously I don't go to school right now, but when I am, I'm on my mobile, because I have to check that, you know, if there's any new enrollments, if there's a parent that, you know, I need to call right away, I have access to their phone number. And then also the last thing it does is it increases your presence, your online presence, and your visibility. So that's really, really key and very important. So that's the whole strategy. Really, what I was talking at the beginning is it goes in phases. So phase one is the start. So just start anywhere. So even if it's like, you know, you're telling people to directly bank transfer to your school bank account, that's fine. You have to start somewhere. If you can't just apply it all right away. So if you're doing, for example, Google Sheets or folders on your computer, that's fine. But then when you come to a point where that's not working, you have to pivot. You have to change. And if the school's growing and it needs more capacity, then you're like, okay, well, I need to have better processing of enrollments. I need to have better processing of the classroom management. I need to make my events a little bit better. So that goes into the next phase, you know, start implementing other apps. And then until you reach the phase three, which is the leverage stage, which is making sure that your school is running on a note that, like if there's a lot of students, for example, that you have to manage. So then you can think of a tool like Compass and all that. And I'm thinking especially of these days, remote learning right now, all of these tools can be easily implemented right now while everyone is at home, and you can start to kind of think forward, because when we return, then you're going to need to, you know, things are going to shift and change really quickly. So you're going to need to, and I do realize there's one piece missing to this presentation, which I might add at some point, is the whole concept of, well, what did you do for remote learning? What are we using now? So we're using two things, Zoom and Compass. So just Sunday sessions are happening on Zoom for about 30 to 40 minutes per grade. And then homework is just being sent out to students via compass, and we're trying to keep it light for the parents. We don't want to overburden the parents, because it is for a lot of schools like us, it's a discretionary activity. So a lot of people have told us that they're not coming, and we've given them a lot of options, even, you know, don't pay or whatever. So we've given them a lot of options, but the key is to make sure that things are light and simple and not overburdening, because people are already dealing with a lot. So there you go. There you have it all into one place. And so the last thought I want to share before I take some questions is, it's digitizing your school administration is very simple, but it takes time and effort, and it's going to be beneficial in the long run, even if it's really time consuming. So there are days where I spent hours and hours per week to just set things up and entry data and all that stuff. And sometimes it falls all on one person, but other times it may not. Like, you can share the work, you can delegate and all that. So you don't have to also get it perfect from the get-go. You just have to get things going. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect right away. And here's my last slide with my email. And what I'll do is I'll also type that in while I take a breath and wait for questions. So we have about 13 minutes for questions, which is great. I was able to condense that into 50 something minutes. So yeah, so I'll just read quickly. So those are my details and my, my email there, if you'd like to get that presentation slide. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, Gloria. Yeah, so anyone who's given me the email in the chat, I would rather you email me, and then I will send that to you if you don't mind. So that would be great. And yeah, I'm happy to, you know, chit chat with anyone. What I'll do is I'll leave that up for a bit and then just see if there's any questions. And if there's none questions, we can kind of take an early evening back to our comfy evenings. Yeah, so let me see. We got 32 people online. That's great. So I just want to know, show of hands, or maybe you can put in the chat, which part resonated with you the most? Which part, what was your biggest takeaway of the session? Like, let's start with biggest takeaway. So what was your biggest takeaway of this session? Maybe you can type it in the chat. Something like biggest takeaway was that, you know, oh, I need to implement something like Scannable for my working with children checks or something. For those of you saying very inspired, you're welcome. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much. Thank you for those nice comments. And maybe, okay, so if it's not biggest takeaway, maybe tell me what's the next step you might take for your school, if you will take something.
Hey, Bob.
Yes, yes. Denise.
Can I just ask you a quick question? Actually, two questions, if I may.
Sure.
One is with the G Suite account, email account. Is that a free account, or do we have to pay for it?
So good question, Denise. Let me just do a quick mute because I heard feedback there. Very good question, Denise. So Denise was asking if the G Suite is a paid account, or is it free? So G Suite is paid, and I think ours was linked to Wix because we built our website through Wix. And then what I did is I just added a mailbox to it. So I think we're paying about maybe 70 US per year. It's really not that, it's not a very big expense, and very doable. So maybe look online to see if you're just about to buy. Let me just actually quickly see for you while we have time here. So yeah, it's very minimal, payments, sorry. Oh, so G Suite pricing plans for business. You can do, yeah, so it depends on how many users per you have, and I only have one G Suite account, so I don't have many users. I only have the info at, and that is $16.80 per user per month, it looks like. And it gives you a lot of things. It gives you Gmail, it gives you the Google Drive, it gives you a lot of things. So check it out. And I think there's also basic and all that stuff. So check it out. But yeah, I was looking at US dollars, so it's pretty okay for a school, you know. So hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you, it did. And the other question I was going to ask you, the online forms for enrollment.
Yes.
Look, I haven't actually looked into them, but I will.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy, isn't it? It's not like do you need to make an account to be able to access them?
No, I think you can even do it with a free account. What I'll do here is I'll put in the chat Arabic culture, HTTPS, hold on, sorry, HTTPS, Arabic Culture School. Have a look at ours, but maybe don't fill it in because then it'll come to me as an enrollment. Okay. And just have a look at ours, and that's how we set it up. So you can do that easily with a Google form in your Google account. Yeah.
I can't see anything. Did you actually write that in a chat, or?
Oh yeah, no. Oh, sorry. It went privately to someone for some reason. Hold on, let me just do it to everyone. Sorry about that.
I thought I'm being blind or something.
There it is. You can see it now.
Okay.
So I'll read a few more takeaways. We need to work on school brand identity. I totally agree. That was a very big thing for us. Biggest takeaway is using Square, and also, does it cost for Compass? Yes, Compass does cost. It's quite a big investment. It could be anything between $2,000 to $3,000. So it depends on what your requirements are. What I suggest is maybe go over to the folks at Compass. I think it's called Compass School Manager. If you just search for that, it should bring you up their page and you can contact them. And then Facebook is a very good idea. Oh, I said I would show you this Facebook. Let me bring it up first and see if I can show you around that. Not this one. We have a few minutes, so let me do that. Okay, let me just bring it up first. Communication management was the biggest takeaway. Yeah, it's a very, okay, let me just, I'm trying to just get it on my screen and then I'll be able to. It's a little slow. Oops. ACS. Oh, there it is. Oh, my computer's acting up. I'm hoping to do this. Hold on. Sorry for the wait. Okay, come on. There it is.
Has to be all the updates, the Zoom updates. It's lagging the whole system. I've had the same problem.
I'm also guilty of it, though. I have quite a few tabs open. So I'm also a bit guilty of the whole thing. Okay, so now I'm sharing my desktops and I went to get the group. Right, so hopefully that clicks through. Are you guys, yeah, you're seeing my screen right now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so here is the Facebook community. So I called it Teachers Community. And so here you see here, the first thing they see when they come in is our Sunday sessions timetables. So this is what we've agreed to do, you know, assembly, kinder. So right away after we've decided that, I made sure that that's an announcement in the group so that they can see that. And then you see here our principal Samir is polling them. So he's asking them. So, you know, how are your Sunday sessions going? Let us know in the comments below, and people are commenting here. Here I have my announcement of upcoming PD sessions. So I put a picture of that and I say who wants to register, and then they write down their thing. So really it's such a great medium, and it's, you know, it's fun to be in sometimes. There's also here units. This is the one that I really use a lot. So units is where I started to put all of the tutorials of the things I want to show them how to do things. So how to post homework to their newsfeed. So there, if they go into that tutorial, they actually get me on video. So I have all these series of videos. Hopefully it comes up here. See, this is a video. If they click, it goes to a video, and you know how to format your class news feeds, how to add attachments, you know, how to schedule a Zoom meeting, all of these little things that, you know, is so hard to do that on WhatsApp. So I just want to make sure that you guys, I see myself frozen. Do you still hear me and see me? Thumbs up. Yeah, okay, I see Nada is fine. All right, so yeah, so, and then as this group grows, you can start to do fun things like, you know, if you have a video you want to show in there, or if you have like an announcement to make, you can actually go online and show up there and be there for them. It's kind of, I like to call it the online staff room. So when we're in our face-to-face learning, they come to see me in the staff room, but how are they going to do that now when we're sitting at home? Like I don't want my phone to ring off the hook. So we either have WhatsApp or this Facebook, so they can come and chat to me quickly here, and I will always be looking at it. So there you go. That's our little home now. I call it our new home. And here I put, so one of my presentations for the school, what I'm doing right now, I actually put it up on YouTube so people can view what I presented. And yeah, so it's like this little very fun little place to be, you know, so with our teachers now. So I'll just quickly stop the share because my computer is really slowing right now. I don't want to lose you guys. But yeah, oops, okay. Hopefully that was a nice little walkthrough of it. Thank you, Nada, you're so sweet. Yes, it is a great tool to people who've been using, you know, people think it's a time suck. Oh, I'll always be on Facebook, or some people don't go to Facebook, but you can really make it private, and you can really make it, you know, as not time, like you're just in and out. You need an announcement, and make an announcement and that. And it's a really good tool now. Like sometimes I say, like, don't let Facebook use you, you use Facebook for your needs. So, okay. I'm so grateful for you all. Thank you so much. I'm just reading. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Great and affordable ideas. And you just start from somewhere and you build on it. So it doesn't all have to be done at the same time. And I'm happy to help in any way. So you've got my email. Let me just pop it one more time if you want. And I might, what I'll do is I might actually, oh, sorry, no, don't look at that one. That was the wrong, there was a typo in that one. So that second one is the right one. All right. Great. So I see some people have, oh yeah, we're down to 24. We're still here, but you know, I'm happy to answer more questions by email, but in the interest of time, we're done today. And if you want, we can say good night. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And I'm glad for those of you who are moving in the right direction. You guys are doing great. We're all doing great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you, Heba. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
You did
Have a good night,
wonderful
everyone.
job.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you, Liana.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, love.
Bye.